Welcome to Pest Control Millionaire, episode 0. In this podcast, we interview business owners in the service industry. We dive deep into their secrets to success. We talk about operations, marketing, sales, mindset, and just the overall lifestyle of an entrepreneur. And with that, we are going to introduce the Pest Control Millionaire himself, Jonas Olson. How are you doing today, Jonas?
I'm good. How are you, James?
I am doing wonderful. It's a little chilly outside. I guess we can just get started. I guess the main question that everybody's going to want to know is, how did you get started?
Well, takes you back 12, 13 years now. I actually started in my grandma's backyard with a push mower. And I didn't have enough money to actually go buy one, so my grandpa gave me a mower that he had. I think it was an old Aaron's, like little, it was a pretty cool model. Like it had like the swivel wheels on the front so you could turn a little easier. And then my aunt and uncle gave me a old Echo string trimmer. So then I just started mowing my grandma's yard after school once a week. And then from there...
I mean, the question is, did your grandma pay you for that?
Yeah, I think they actually did. We might have.
They gave you the mower.
I think we might have traded mowers,
the mower
for cutting the grass.
Business, yeah, absolutely.
And then from there, I actually started knocking doors.
Okay.
Like I remember getting their neighbor to the right, I got their neighbor to the left, and then the neighbor on the corner, and then across the street in one house over, I got her name was Trudy, and I still remember that from 13 years ago, and started cutting her lawns. So I was doing like 4 or 5 lawns a week, I guess. And then, yeah, kind of just history from there. But
that's when the real cash flow started to come.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
4 or 5 businesses, or 4 or 5 houses across the street.
Definitely had a lot of money then. No, I was broke as a joke. But actually, then, as a young kid, you doing 4 or 5, 6 lawns a week is just a little extra money on the weekend.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And so, when I was young, I had money too. But then, I started... It's just kind of what I did. That's how I grew the business from day one. Like I wasn't afraid to talk to people, and I would just go knock doors and just keep getting more neighbors. And then from there, I finally saved up enough money. After I graduated high school, I went to college, did all that, and then I got a full-time job, and I was working Monday through Thursday, and then I would just mow my lawns from Thursday through Sunday. And so I saved up enough money to buy actually my first nice Gravely zero turn. And I got my first account. And that one account, a friend called me and said, hey, I can't take on this big account. Are you interested in it? And I said, sure, come look at it. And so I went down to their office and they showed me their office. I'm like, oh, this is a pretty big account. It was really cool. It's my first commercial account. And they said, hey, would you want to take care of our houses too? So started at one house of the business owner and the other business owner's house. And I started mowing their lawns as well. And what's really cool is that that first customer I ever had like that big is actually still a customer of the business now.
To this day, 12, 13 years later.
Yeah, and I sold that business a year and a half ago. But it was just really cool because they were with me from the very beginning till I sold it. And yeah, that's just kind of how it really got started.
That's awesome. So you were going towards more commercial, like your first actual account that you would count was like your commercial account.
Yeah,
that was like the breaking point for you. You were still working another job.
Yeah, and then once I started getting those type of accounts, I realized pretty fast that I'm making way more money
working your
Thursday through Sunday than I was working 9 to 5, and I was making a good living back then.
Yeah,
a young kid at 22 or 23 years old at this time, making like $25 an hour.
Yeah,
was really good back then. So I left a pretty big job. I just had a kid. And I was traveling a lot. I didn't really want to be gone that much. I didn't want to miss my kids growing up. Mm-hmm. So I decided to just jump in full time. And that's when,
How many years did you do that for? Was it just like a year span? Or?
No, I did that for 2 years. Yeah, I work Monday through Thursday. And I travel home and I work Thursday through Sunday for about 2 years until I got enough clients where, like I said,
you could just do that.
Yeah, so where I could just do that full time.
Okay.
Then for a while, it was just myself and I think I was me in a truck for probably 2 years till I started getting really busy, and word of mouth got around. And then I hired one of my first guys, and then there was 2 of us in a truck for another couple of years.
So 4 years total at this point.
Yeah. Okay. So I took like 4 or 5 years to get everything kind of rolling, got enough equipment, had my truck and just one trailer, a couple of trucks. And
so some people consider that owning a job.
oh, for sure.
Correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
I would like to say that myself. So how did you go from owning a job to actually owning a business that produces the cash flow that you felt was necessary for yourself to live?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the biggest thing for me is I was super frustrated. Like I was a guy in a truck working 50, 60, 70, 80 hours.
Probably working more than you were at your 9 to 5 job.
And, just mowing a couple hundred lawns a week or whatever. But it was all on paper. It was super frustrating. Like I was using like Excel spreadsheets back then.
Yeah.
And it was just, I was super frustrated with just the way that it was going. I knew that there had to be a better way. Like there's no way. Like how the heck do you hire people? Like how do you grow this thing without you being in it? And so I finally started searching, because I was out of pure frustration. I started searching for software to make things start running a little bit more smooth. And back then, things were just starting to come online, basically.
Yeah.
What
year was that?
That's probably
a difficult question.
No, probably 2009, 10.
Okay.
Somewhere in there. Like everything was starting to come online at that time.
Yeah.
And like I said, out of pure frustration, I just started searching on Google, what were lawn care softwares.
Yeah.
And then I had a lawn care software pop up, and there's some guy talking, and I was like, oh, this looks pretty cool. And I ended up buying that night. Like, this looks really cool. They're like, it's like a CRM where you can make your schedule Monday through Friday. You could collect emails.
What does CRM mean?
Like a client relations management system.
Okay.
And where you can just put all your people in there.
Yeah.
Right? So then you say, oh, Sally Smith is on there, and she's on route A for Monday,
Yep.
And it just made everything a little bit easier.
Keep track of it a little bit.
Yeah, and then after I was done with work, I'd have to come home, do all the billing through QuickBooks.
Yeah.
And so I was spending 10 hours in the field and another 3 hours trying to build stuff at night.
Trying to collect the money that you just did.
Yeah, and then it's super complicated business. And that's where I think a lot of companies fail, because people will fire you if you don't build them on time. Some companies will wait, 30, 60, 90 days to even to bill you, and then all of a sudden you get a bill for 3 months worth of work, and
you're like,
obviously they don't like that.
Yeah, people are like, what in the world's going on here?
So that's just kind of how it all started. And I think the biggest things back then were just answer my phone, that simple. If they leave voicemails, get back to them. And that's what I would do. I would just make sure that I got back to everyone in my voicemail, and just because a lot of people just don't answer the phone, they get too busy. And then once I got into that CRM, it was like, whoa, this is way easier. With the touch of a button, I could charge everyone's credit card.
They created an actual business, where you could.
And I mean, it just made things a little bit more smoother. I wouldn't say that it created a business at that point. It just made it scalable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
quicker,
you could,
faster.
yeah,
easier.
you can. It's on mobile, so you can give someone else your login where they can see their routes. Then you go do, and then I guess from there is when I found my first business mentor. Was through that CRM. They had an academy, they called it. And it just to show you how to go from I think we were doing $200,000 in revenue, or $250,000 in revenue at that point.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Especially where we're from.
Yeah, with two people, But you're always wondering where the money's at and where it goes. And I didn't really know anything about business until I found a coach, and then that's when
life changed.
Life changed, absolutely. There's so much that you don't know. You just don't know what you don't know. And you find someone who's been there, done it, and been through all the problems and challenges, and it's been on the other side, and he's in our industry. It just made things super
a lot easier.
Yeah, a lot easier.
When you talk about so you talk about leading up to this, and how some businesses fail, some businesses are successful. What was that whole time in the back of your mind, what was fueling your fire? Why were you out there doing it when you could have just been comfortable doing this 9 to 5 job that everybody, the rat race, I guess people fall into.
Yeah, they, I don't know. I was super ADD as a kid. I still am ADD. I can vouch for that. Still ADD. I never was actually diagnosed with ADD. I just know myself.
Yeah.
That I am.
Just hyper.
Yeah, hyper, and just it's hard for me to focus on certain things. And so I was just like that kid who I was a big dreamer.
Yeah.
Like ever since I was little, I felt like I was going to do big things. I didn't know how I was going to get there. I didn't have a vehicle to take me there, if that makes sense. And so I was like kind of defiant. I was just trying to find my way. And, I think throughout my life, that question changed, When I first got started, it was probably just because I didn't want to work for anyone else.
Yeah.
I didn't want to live out of town, on the road, drinking every weekend and every night like they did. And that's just not the lifestyle I wanted to live. I just had a kid, so I wanted to be around her more, and then as that, that got hard, and then you have to find different things that fuel you. And so like that fuel of like wanting to do big things and having a kid, and then it got to the point where like, I wanted to help other people become successful. And then to the point where like I have these major goals now. Mm-hmm. And, my dad just passed away. So like his legacy, like making sure that gets fulfilled and
something that's carried on.
So I think it just changes throughout your career of why you're out there. But those fuel me, my kids, of course. I have 3 daughters. They fuel me to get up and do the best that I can every day. And then so was my why for a long time, and now part of my why is continue my dad's legacy and then continue my kids' legacy.
Yeah. Chills when you said that. I guess getting into like the business side of things, everybody kind of wants to know the pest control millionaire himself. Like what does it take to build $1 million business?
Another good question. But there's a lot to that question. The $1 million, it's just kind of like one of those things that people think is way bigger than what it is. Mm-hmm. Every small business wants to get to $1 million. And first it's 100,000, then it's 500,000, then it's 750,000, then it's $1 million. And the number isn't really that big once you get there. You're like, man, I guess I thought it would be way different, than what it really is. But to get to that point, it just takes people. It takes the right people. It takes systems, process and procedures for sure.
Networking.
Yeah, coaching, networking is probably the biggest thing that impacted my life. Like we talked about a little bit ago, just finding that right coach.
Yeah.
To guide you through, all the ups and downs through the business, and not just the business itself, but the personal side of things too, and helping you coach you through that. So, like to the $1 million mark, like I said, it just takes people, process, procedures, which will make it scalable, right? Mm-hmm. And then, you'll need people, like I said, in the office. You need people that are doing operations. You need people that are doing everything. So yeah,
every part of the business.
And then you just got to get good at sales. You got to get good at marketing. Mm-hmm. You got to get good at a lot of things. And so for a while, as the owner, you're wearing so many hats. Like that's what they say. You're sitting in so many seats at that time. And for when you're first starting out, you're carrying all the hats. Yep. And to scale, you can't wear every single hat. You have to have someone over operations. You have to have someone over sales. Mm-hmm. You have to have someone over HR. You have to have over marketing. So you just got to start building that team. Just right around that.
Handing out the hats to all the different people, kind of.
And I think once you get to like that $750,000 in revenues, when you're going to have to start really relying on more people, at least have one person in the office. Mm-hmm. And, we talked a little bit earlier about like going from owning a business or from a job to a business, and that's about that transition from $750,000, maybe $1 million, right in there where you have to start delegating more, hire more people, and then have systems and stuff like that so you can scale past that.
Back to the part where you said, you hit like 100,000, then you hit 250,000, 500,000. I just want you to, we've been friends for a long time. I just want you to tell the viewers basically what you told me when you were young and you were first just starting out about the $100,000 mark.
Yeah, when I hired my first employee, we were under $100,000. And I remember thinking, if I could just get my business to $100,000 a year, like I'll have made it. Yeah. And so, but I didn't know any better, And so, thinking back to those days, it's humbling for sure.
It is a good, obviously, like a goal to set, but you kind of want to set those goals a little bit higher.
I guess for sure. And like,
but you didn't know back then.
I didn't. And so through each stage, you're gonna have different goals too. And I remember a couple of years ago, I was talking to a friend, and we were just talking about business was growing fast, but not fast enough because you want faster. He's like, I understand what you're saying, but think about this. you're doing more revenue in a week now than you were in an entire year back then. That's like, oh, that was also only like 3 or 4 years ago. So you're like, yeah, I guess we're doing pretty good,
Yeah. That definitely, that brings me to my next question. You talk about like how you were, a 4 or 5 years ago, you were doing X amount of money and now you're doing X amount of money. What did it take? Like, not only did you build a business that like, $1 million, everybody's like, oh, great, $1 million, and not only did you build a business to $1 million, the amount of time you did it to $1 million is something that's just, I don't know, pretty much unheard of without somebody just throwing money at you, I guess you would say. So how did you build $1 million business in 18 months? I mean, that's how long it took you.
So it's a good question, but like it goes back to like the first business. Like it took me 8 years basically, maybe 6 to 8 years to finally hit $1 million. And
that was over. You made $1 million in 10 years, essentially.
No, like I made more money than that, but like to have my business do $1 million in revenue in a year took me like 6 to 8 years, somewhere in there.
Okay.
But it's just like that school of hard knocks. So finding that coach, going in and learning and just learn as much as you possibly can about your business and your industry. And if they came in now and said, hey, we're taking your business away from you, they could take away all the trucks. They could take away all the money. They could take away all the people. They could take away everything. But they can't take away what's up in my brain.
Yeah.
So
just do it again.
So I could just do it again. And that's what I did when I was in an industry that I really liked, but I wasn't doing the services that were the most profitable. And I felt like I was really, really good at my job. So in order to get the best return on my investment, I wanted to have the most profitable business model there was.
Yeah, investing your time into the right.
So I ended up selling my old company. I did well with that. And I had to start over. But I had a little bit of cash, and then I had all the knowledge.
Yeah.
And so, within an 18-month period, we went from zero basically to, a multi-million-dollar company.
Yeah.
In like 18 months. So it was fast. And people are kind of shocked about that. But
which it was a new industry for you to go into. So essentially you built
it was a new industry, but it was roughly the same service and things like that. So most service industries are about the same.
Yeah.
They're different, of course, nuances, equipment, and things like that. But, as far as sales and marketing,
customer base,
they're relatively all the same.
Yeah.
So just taking what I learned in business one and applying that to business two with the correct model. And I felt like I had the wrong model, for
before.
Before.
Okay.
I felt like I had the wrong model to scale it as fast as I could. Just way more overhead and way more equipment, breakdowns. It took more people to make less revenue per truck, per route. So finding the right model was a big thing. And I did that for 10 years. And like I said, I just came to a realization like, okay, I love this industry. And I love the people in this industry. But I just wanted the best services that made the most money and that gave me the best investment of my time. And, so without a good team, building that team fast, I couldn't have done it, by myself.
Yeah.
So just finding the right people that had the right mindset, that had the right work ethic, have the right vision, that they're bought into your company, like things like that. That it just takes finding the right people, and through coaching and things like that is how I developed my skills there. And that's just kind of how we grew extremely fast.
Yeah.
So.
I think one of the biggest things that stood out to me, just like through you and everything like that, when you talk about, how they can take everything from you and then you're still going to do it.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for people to know that, like, he doesn't know everything in the world. Like, but one of the biggest things about Jonas is just like, while he's doing it, like, he's not going to sit there and, just figure everything out before he does it. He's going to go do it and learn along the way.
Yeah.
So essentially, like, tell him a little bit how, like, you kind of got to go out on a whim to, like, achieve these things, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to know everything, but you're going to learn along the way.
Yeah. And, it takes a little while to get good at anything. And anything that's worthwhile is going to be hard. But I'm not one that's not going to go out and do it myself and learn how to do it and become a master at my skill before I can show someone else. So I'm not going to tell someone to go do something that I would never do myself.
Yeah.
So just going in and like the way my brain operates is hard to explain. But when I want to do something, it won't shut off. And I will do whatever I can to stay up as late as I can or wake up as early as I can until I figure that one thing out. And that's just kind of how I operate. And so every time that I get into something, I deep dive in hardcore, and then like I become really good at a bunch of different things. I'm not an expert at all of them, but I also have the right people in the right places and the right seats.
You handed out the right hats to the right people.
They're experts in their field, and it makes my job way easier.
Yeah, just going and getting it, essentially. Yeah. You were just talking to the camera guy, Dalton, about it. Yeah. About how he was asking you, like, what, like, it can wait till later. And you're like, no, I got to do it now.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to happen now.
And a lot of people, like, procrastinate because they want to wait till everything's perfect. They really do. Like, oh, I got to have this, and I got to have this, and I got to have this. And, you know, Dalton and I have had this conversation before. He's like, well, we should wait. I'm like, no, let's just do it. I mean, 80% is still better than nothing.
Yeah.
And we're still doing more than 99% of the people who are out there. Yeah, it's not perfect yet, but we'll go till something breaks. We'll go back and fix it. Go. Come back.
Yeah, just basically helping you reach those next levels.
And it's just like in business, whether we're doing a podcast or whether we're doing interviews or they're doing our business itself, like that's just how we operate. We go. We learn, we fix it when it breaks, and go again.
Yeah, we just jump the hurdles along the way, I guess you would say. If you know, this kind of ties into me as well, but like if you were a new guy just starting out, how would you, like if you could go back and do it differently, essentially, would you do it differently, or how would you do it? Yeah,
for sure. I mean, if I'm just starting out and I'm wanting to go get clients, one thing I would do, obviously you got to make sure you're certified, licensed, whatever you are in your field. But then if you want to go get customers, it's simple.
Yeah.
Like literally, like I already explained it. Go on Google, get Google My Business set up. It's free. It's basically like a website. Go talk to your neighbors. Go talk to your family members, everyone that you know. And go do your service them for free. And then you're like, well, why would I do it for free? Like, because all you're going to ask them for in return is, what do you think?
More business.
Reviews.
Oh, reviews. I guess you can do that.
Ask for reviews. Get them. If you go do 10, 15 people, ask them for reviews. Is all you want in return. You know, they'll post their reviews. Now, when you go talk to other neighbors and you can show them their reviews, like, hey, look, I do this in my service. This is what I offer. These are our reviews.
And I do it for free. It's even better.
Give us a shot, you know? And then, so that's where I would start. Like, literally, make sure you have all your ducks in a row with insurance and stuff like that, and your license. And then just literally just walk down the street and talk to neighbors, talk to people, talk to your friends. You know, you'll be any of your friends will let you do for free.
Yeah.
But as soon as you ask them to start paying for their service, it's usually
they're out, gone.
Yeah, usually they're gone. But that's just how you do it. Like I said, just that simple. Go talk to the neighbors, go talk to relatives, ask for a review, do it for free. Take those reviews with you and go talk to the next neighbor, say, hey, this is what I do. These are reviews. Give us a shot. It's that simple. And pretty soon you'll have 10, 15, 20 customers. And if you're willing to put in the work, you know, by the end of a summer, you could probably, or 100 days. I think in 100 days, you get 100 clients. I mean, easy. I know for sure.
Easy, yeah.
But for a young kid that's really wants to hustle and grind, yeah, you could get 100, 200 clients within 100 days. Yeah, for sure.
And I think it ties into like what we've talked about in the past too, kind of just popped into my head. Like, in order to achieve these things, like, you know, like me and you working together, even like from the beginning, like in your lawn care business, you know, when you ask like what fuels your fire and like I asked you, like, why did you keep going? You know what I mean? Like, you truly have to buy into yourself.
Yeah.
Like, and what you want to do. Like, would you say that was a big part of like what made you start out?
Yeah. And like I said, I always knew that I was meant for big things. You know, like you never know which part of the generation that you're in. Like, so you gotta look back to like your legacy, and you might be the person who is gonna breed your kid, son or daughter, that's gonna be the next president.
Yeah.
You just don't know. You don't know where you're lined up in your lineage. So, you know, my dad didn't know that he was gonna have me and, you know, and what I was gonna do. And same thing, my grandpa didn't know he was gonna have my dad, what my dad did. My dad was my dad raced endurance horses and was number one in the entire world. Like, only like 100 people have ever done that in the world.
Yeah.
So he didn't know that. And so it's like, you don't know where you're going to line up in that lineage and who's going to do what. But yeah, just like, so I always had my belief that I was going to do big things. I know my parents believed in me. My dad is the one who like was always be like, yeah, just chase your dreams, kid. And he really pushed me to be, you know, become the best version of myself. So yeah, I just say that it's a mindset thing. Like, this world is
well, you have to buy into it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 100% mindset. This whole world is. So if you can get that one thing right, that mindset shift, and just say like, hey, I'm gonna be the best, and no one's gonna stop me. Like, it's no one's gonna stop you.
And then it ties right back into knowing people. Like, once you get there.
And I think that I told you guys both this. Like, I write down my goals every single day, every morning and every single night. And so I do it for 2022. I did it for 2023. I do it for 2025, and then the ultimate end game. And I wrote down my goals every single day for the past year, morning and night. And there's not one goal that I didn't hit this year. And some of them weren't even because of just me. Like, I had other people that had to say, we're going to vote for Jonas for this award and blah, 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 the things that I wanted to do personally.
Which you had no control over, but had control over.
Yeah, I mean, I had to put in the work, right? And I had to make it happen, but it was no control at the end. And so maybe that's not a good thing. Maybe it's a bad thing. And I felt like I stretched myself on those goals. So just writing down your goals every day is super helpful. It's a mindset shift, too, of the things that you want to get done every day. And if you keep those goals in front of you every day and you look at them every day and you write them, like, you're going to hit them.
Yeah, you set goals, like yearly goals, like 22, 23, 25. But you also set, I guess you would call them micro goals for like every single day.
Yeah.
So and you want to hit those in a day. So that's 24 hours. You got.
Yeah. So this is nothing new. It's nothing earth shattering, but maybe people that are watching this don't know, because I like to read a lot of books. And basically, you're just going to write down the 5 things that you want to get done for the day. And the hardest thing to do of those 5, you're going to do first. The thing that's going to move the needle the most. And then, second, third, fourth, and fifth. And if you don't get all of them done, not a big deal. But as long as you get 3 of those 5 days, I consider that a win. And I put the next 2 things on the list for the next day. So, yeah, there's a lot of those micro goals, like day in and day out, that are almost like a habit at that point that'll get you to your bigger goals.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, I guess I don't really have any other questions, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but like, there's more than just the business life when it comes to habits too, right? You got to take care of yourself. You got to have your mind right. You got to have your body right. So those habits where they say to go to the gym every morning, like, that's just something that I do. But I've done it on such a routine, 'cause that's the way I am. Like, I'm just like a creature of habit. Like, I just have the same habits, I do the same routine, and it's just stay consistent, right? You want to go lose weight? It's not that hard. Go to the gym, 45 minutes a day. It might take you 6, 7, 8 weeks for you to start to notice it. But then weeks 9, 10, 12, 15, you're like, man, that's all I had to do. Like, to lose that much weight, like, heck yeah, I can do it. You go 2 years from now, if you're still doing the same thing 2 years from now, the same habits, you're going to look back at those 2 years and like, you're going to literally say, that's all I had to do for 2 years to achieve what I have now. Like, absolutely, I would do that again.
Yeah,
and I've had the conversation.
Yeah, you asked me as soon as, we were done kind of wrapping things up, you were like, okay, so how much money did you make this summer? And like, of course, the boss doesn't even know how much money he paid me, but he's like, would you do that again in that amount of time? And it's like, during it, you go through all these like mindset, like head battles, and you're just like, you're almost like against yourself in the way.
Yeah.
And then like you push through it, you feel better because of it. You get the money reward on the other end, but then you look back at it and you're like, why was I struggling that bad? Like, it wasn't like I was struggling, but it's like, why were you beating yourself up? Why were you not doing the things that you want to do every day? And you lack some days, you push the next days, but at the end of the day, it's all an end game. That's
and it's not even about the money at the. It's about who you're becoming through the process.
Yeah, as a person.
Yeah, so we're gonna hit our numbers no matter what eventually, right? Because that's our goals. We're just gonna do it. But it's like who you're becoming along the way, and how much I've changed from 5 years ago, or even 2 years ago, or a year ago, and to constantly get better, to be the best version of Jonas that I possibly be, if not for my, for myself, for my kids, for my relationships, family and things like that. So again, it's not all about the money. It's just a person that you get to become along the way. The money is just a tool.
Yeah, and that's, you look at like what I asked you earlier about how you built $1 million business in 18 months. Like those 18 months, like I was with you from the beginning. That's pretty much when I started. And like just learning from you, like the lifestyle changes that you've made. And like you said, it's not even really like about the money at this point. It's just like who you want to become, how you're going to be remembered. I think that's been, the biggest impact you've had on me as like pretty much my coach is just like who I've become. Like people, not in the beginning, you look at it and in the beginning, nobody even noticed really at all. And then they look at you now, they look at me now and they're like, wait, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing that? You know what I mean? Because it's like you just improve so much over those 18 months, but you don't even, you see obviously changes in yourself, but having other people recognize that and see that is kind of the biggest thing. It's kind of cool
see. For sure. So I'll ask you a question because, people are watching this that might be just starting out.
Yeah.
How valuable do you think my coaching was for you? And I've never asked this question.
No, we've never even talked about that. But I think that's the funniest part is like even, my fiance, my dad, my mom, like you've known my family for a long time, but you haven't been a part of my life for really that long. And like, when I first started this, I think the best way to tell it is honestly a story, to be honest with you. Yeah. It's, my dad, I was talking to him about, Jonas, and like Jonas reached out to me and he was like, hey, like, I just kind of want to go and I want to do this thing. Like, I want you to be a part of it. I think you'd be perfect fit for like the role that I want you in, all that good stuff, and I was just like, man, like I was young. I was just getting out of college. And the first thing, it's weird that Jonas talks about how like the first thing that he always knew was like, I was put on this world to do big things. Cause the first thing that I thought of when I graduated college was like, whoever gets me for that 9-to-5 job is going to be one lucky guy. Like, that's what I always thought about. And then Jonas was coming to me and I was bartending at the time. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try it out. I called my brother-in-law, who's a very successful businessman himself, and was like, he's like, if it doesn't work, it's because you didn't make it work. And I was like, well, I guess, I'll just give it a try. So from day one, everything that you've told me, I've, obviously I had to do it, but like you've become like, I'd like to say my best friend, to be honest with you, but like just as like a coach in general, like you've literally brought me from not being able to get out of bed to now, like, I don't think my brain shuts off either, to be honest with you. That's kind of how my brain works now. Like, we're on the phone at midnight talking about what we're going to do for the business, what the goal is for 10 years from now. And, people are sitting next to me like, dude, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And just like, the biggest thing that I've done since I've started is like, I never get out of your ear. Like, I'm always asking you questions and you're always there. Like, you always answer them. Like, anything I want to know, like I call you and I'm like, hey, what's this? And you're, you don't think anything stupid as it may sound. Yeah. You've just been there with all the questions and answers.
But even outside of business, like, cause we have the model, like we know what we're doing. We're scaling fast. We're opening a bunch of new markets, but outside of even the business realm, like how about like financially, personal things? Like, what do you think?
Like, as far as like a coach, as coaching wise, well, as I kind of stated before, couldn't really get out of bed. I was pretty lazy. I wasn't really doing the right things, but I always had that mindset, like, you have talked about. And as far as from like a financial, like my home life, just me as a person, like since I've, he didn't even, he's not like, it wasn't a coach that was like, you gotta stop drinking. You gotta stop doing the bad things. You know what I mean? But like, not only was he saying things that were helping me, but like leading by example. So like in the last, like I've been sober now for just over a year, and, everybody likes to have a little fun in college, obviously, but once you get out, you kind of get stuck in that rat race that everybody else is running. And, I just was like leading by example from Jonas. I was like, wow, like, look at what he's doing. You know what I mean? And then like calling you, asking you questions and stuff. And, like you said, it's not really about the money, but we're all out here to make money at the end of the day, like financially, Have
I ever steered you wrong?
No, never financially. When I was in college, I was making like $4 or $5 grand a summer, and I was like, well, I'm living rich. Like I was playing college soccer. I was working, I wasn't working in college. Actually, I didn't work a lick other than in the summer. And then, when he came up and talked to me, every job wants to like spit numbers and like stuff like that. But like, through your coaching, you've helped me achieve those numbers. Yes, I had to do it, but like you as a person, just like how much you've pushed me and like changed my life. Like never in a million years, 2 years ago, if you'd have sat me down and said, in 2 years, you're going to drive a brand new 4Runner, and just because you wanted to, you're going to go and buy your fiance a car and drive it home and surprise her with a brand new car. If you'd have told me that, I would have laughed right in your face. Honestly, I probably would have thought it was hilarious, but just goes to show like how much you like, it gives me chills talking about it, to be honest with you. It just goes to show like how much you've truly changed my life. And like, I owe it to myself, but a lot of my success and is owed to you, just because you without you, I don't know if I would have done it, to be honest with you.
So we've never talked about that. So it's kind of cool to see that you're helping people. And like I said, we have the model, and I've been doing this for 12 years now, and I've literally paid hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars for coaching, and I still do. And it's just been one of the most important things of my life too. Like, just learn from somebody that's been there and done it, that can help you through, the hard times, and just show you physically what to do. Like, I was the person who just said, hey, if you just execute this, you'll get, this result. I'm like, oh, I can do that because they showed me how to do it. So they just showed me how to do it, and I go execute. That's just what you gotta do. So, for the people that are watching, like, find someone out there, whether it's me or anyone else, that'll just help you through these things and show you how to scale your business and to become successful.
One thing that I also want to add too is just, like, I always tell my fiance, that's Lily, that's what I always tell her. I'm like, Jonas, like, realistically, like, you could just, like, drop everything and, like, just be done. Like, you could literally, like, at any point in time, like, you could just be like, I'm done. But, like, you're not doing, you want to see other people succeed. You're not doing it for the money. Like, outside of the money, the business model, it's all great and grand, but, like, how much you've changed my life and, like, my fiance's life, my kid's life. Like, I just had my first kid. So, like, seeing all that stuff is just, like, that's why you're in it. Like, that's why you coach, is to, like, see other people do great and do great things. That there's so much potential in the world. It's kind of stupid that, like, you see so much potential in people, and you just want to help them achieve it. It's
fun, because I see the young entrepreneurs that they want to do big things too, and they're out there hustling and grinding, and they want to achieve big things, but again, they just don't know how to do it. But like I said, just reach out to us if you need help. We'll help you with any questions you have. We have our TikTok, we have our YouTube channels. You can email us at info@pestcontrolmillionaire.com. With any questions you have, we can get you in the program. We set you up weekly phone calls and coaching. Cost you a couple $100, but man, that couple $100 that I couldn't afford back then has made me millions of dollars today.
Yeah, you told me that story too about the money that you were like, should I even do this coaching thing? And now it's the biggest thing that you've ever done in your entire life.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I appreciate you, James, for coming here and interviewing me. It's usually not the way this thing goes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I guess I interview you with all my questions that I call you with on a daily basis, 150 times.
It's a little bit more formal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Pest Control Millionaire. If you are not already subscribed, we would really like if you did that. And please leave us a glowing review on iTunes. For the first 8 weeks that we have this show launched, we are going to give away a $50 Amazon gift card every week to a random person who gives us a nice review on iTunes. That's how important it is to us. Also, we want you to be involved with the show. Please send any questions you have about entrepreneurship, how to grow your business, anything about the service industry to info@pestcontrolmillionaire.com. We will answer them on the show. We have the best guests in the service industry, so why not get their take on your problems? Thanks for listening again, and we'll see you in the next one.